This is Incredible Stories Podcast, Episode 1, The Sacred Band of Thebes.
Gather round now, everyone here, hear of incredible things. We'll tell you the stories of people we've met and creatures with clockwork and springs as we've sailed through the tunnels of time.
Hello, first and future listeners. I'm Zane Wind.
And I'm Josh Virila, and welcome to Incredible Stories Podcast, where we hope to bring you weekly stories ranging from fantastic human achievements, unusual history, and even a touch of paranormal, but all incredible.
So, Josh, how's it going? Introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, audience. Again, I'm Josh, coming at you from sunny Atlanta, where the players play.
Still very hot.
Yes, still very hot. Zane and I both being the players from Atlanta.
Oh, yes.
I'm just hoping to bring a touch of my interest, and hopefully the listeners here will find that they're interested in these types of stories as well. But I've had a curiosity in paranormal and kind of weird history ever since I was a wee lad.
And, lad.
I fancy myself kind of like an amateur artist, so maybe I'll draw some of these episodes and put them up and make them available for you guys to check out, and you can download it if you like. What about you, Zane? What's happening with you?
Well, everything's going well. I work in PR with the military with Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, so we do all that. My little side thing is I'm into the acting scene here in Atlanta, and it's a really fun scene to be a part of. Because the Atlanta, film industry is definitely on the rise. I've had some parts in, my big thing was American Reunion, the fourth movie in the American Pie kind of canon, series. I played, Nadia's, husband, Mitch, and Nadia.
I knew your voice sounded familiar.
Yes, I sound so much and look so much like Jason Biggs. It's such a gift. But hey, it got me that role, so I can't be down on myself. Basically I got cast because I kind of look like Jason Biggs. I might sound like him a bit, and it was fun though. I got to meet Shannon Elizabeth, and some of the other cast and crew, and it was cool to be part of that universe because kind of grew up with that American Pie series. So that was really fun. And then also
I've met nobody.
You met nobody. Oh well, that's
well, that's not true. I got to interview Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Wait. Also, didn't you date, the dog sitter of some what was the deal with that?
Kevin Bacon. Yeah, I dated his dog walker for a minute. That was interesting. So, I had 1 degree of separation
that's
from
awesome.
Kevin Bacon. Yeah,
well,
it's a cool
we
story.
both have the connection with the Kevin Bacon thing because John Cho, who is in the American Pie movies. He's like the random Asian guy who's like, Stifler's mom and all that. He was in some movie, kind of an artsy project with Kevin Bacon. I looked it up on IMDb, so it's got some connection there.
It's official.
It's official.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's kick off some headlines for our listeners. Some interesting headlines.
Yeah.
And before we get into our main story of the Sacred Band of Thebes. And listeners, what we'll be doing here is for the headlines, it's a lightning round right off the bat. So
it is time.
We are giving ourselves a minute 20 to give you the headlines, discuss it, whatever, let you digest that, but only a minute 20. So Zane, you wanna go first? Kick it off.
All right, I'll go with my incredible headline. Just tell me when, Josh.
Okay, ready and go. You're on the clock.
All right. Here's a NASA mystery. Scientists are baffled by Pluto's intense X-ray emissions. No natural means for such a mission. It's kind of odd, according to these scientists, because, Pluto, pretty far away, it's a little icy. It's about 3.6 billion miles away from the sun, and it appears to be emitting, X-rays, like a high-energy radiation X-rays. And so all these NASA scientists are confused, and usually with this type of thing with planets, like in Jupiter being the farthest one in the solar system that, is a known source of X-rays. The reason why this has happened is solar rays will interact with the atmosphere of, let's say, Jupiter, and it creates a lot of high energy with all the molecules in the atmosphere, and it just bursts out with X-rays. But this is going on in Pluto all the way back. Did we decide, is that the 9th planet? I don't know anymore. It kind of switches up.
It's a nothing now.
But
although, you know what my theory is, it's actually Pluto inside of it has a dental office emitting the X-rays. Lots of tooth work on
that was the other theory, Josh. Man, you just
time's up. Time.
Darn it.
Sorry, that's it. So if you guys want to know more about that, you're just gonna have to check it out yourselves.
Stole the ending.
All right. All right. So I guess my turn now. So let's go. I guess I will time myself.
Okay.
All right. So my headline is Human Skeleton Discovered at Antikythera Shipwreck After More Than 2,000 Years at the Bottom of the Sea. So, Antikythera, some of you might have heard of the Antikythera mechanism.
I haven't.
You haven't? Okay, well, that's an interesting story for another time, perhaps. But essentially what that was is a complicated set of gearworks in a little box that scientists don't really know where it came from or who made it, but it was very advanced for its time, kind of like an ancient analog computer. They think they kind of used it to track planet movements and stuff like that.
Oh, weird.
So it's one of those really interesting things. But what they found was underneath the shipwreck and some sand were bones of, I guess, whoever was on the ship. And they think what they can do, because the bones were so well preserved, is to extract the DNA from there and kind of see who was on this ship and making the runs and transporting this stuff. So, it's kind of a cool thing if they can determine, that little piece of the puzzle.
Right.
They can maybe get a better idea of the Antikythera mechanism itself.
Ooh, say that 10 times fast. Okay.
Antikythera to the 10 times something.
Yeah.
I don't know. My time's up, though. So
all right.
Moving on.
You handled that very well. Okay.
Oh, thank you. That's what I do. That's what she said.
Antikythera. Okay. All right. All right. So am I up now for my headline? My next headline?
You're on the clock.
Okay. Breaking. Pigeons can read. A little bit.
What?
New research shows that just with some training, through gradual training, the birds moved from learning to eat from a food hopper to recognizing shapes to learning words. Kind of like human children, maybe? That's what they're kind of comparing it to at this level of intelligence. So what they do, they had this test, and they narrowed down to the 4 brightest birds out of 18 in this laboratory test. Over 8 months of training, the advanced class pigeons were taught to distinguish 4-letter words from non-words, like symbols. They were even able to tell the difference between correctly spelled words and those with transposed characters like very and vrey, so, misspelled words.
Well, most humans have a hard time with that.
Yeah, it's very true, pretty much in the media, everywhere you go. But yeah, the pigeon's performance is actually more comparable to that of literate humans than as of apes like baboons. So we got some smart bird brains out there. I just stole your joke, Josh.
All right. Well, technically baboons aren't apes, though. But that's time, so I can't get into that.
They aren't? Oh, you're right. They're not. They're more...
No. They're an old world monkey. But whatever. I'm sure our listeners knew that.
Okay. All right. Well, stop.
Still, good story. Very interesting there. I always find it fascinating, when animals can do these more complicated brain-type exercises.
Oh, well, then you'll be excited about my next headline in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, let's first, here's my next one. It is, we can turn water into wine in 15 minutes, claim creators of pioneering grape-free artificial vino.
The alcoholic inside me got so excited. Keep going.
I'm sure you're giddy. So basically this company in San Francisco, what they've been able to do, they say, is they can manufacture wine without using grapes in the process. Basically what they do is they identify the components of wine, which are amino acids, sugars, volatile organics, and ethanol. So by combining these molecules of things themselves, they come up with something they say is wine. At least they think so. From what I can tell, it seems that the people who have tried it say it kind of tastes pretty bad.
Oh.
like a plastic bag, or this one person
plastic
said...
Plastic bag? Lovely.
Yeah, plastic, yeah. Or this one person said it kind of taste like those inflatable sharks you take into the pool.
Everyone knows the taste of those, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Well, I eat those every summer.
Oh, well.
But you know what? At least this is a start. So, kudos to them for getting the ball rolling on that.
Because it's
time.
Because it is such an emergency to get that figured out. All right. Well, cool. It kind of reminds me of like those. You had a little thing where they're trying to do powdered alcohol for a while and put it in water, but that didn't work.
That was time, Zane. Moving on.
Oh, sorry.
All right, you ready? Go.
All right. Badass cow takes down helicopter and walks off like a boss. So basically, this happened in Australia. There was,
of course,
undefined chopper pilot. He was trying to round up some cattle in Cohen off the Cape York Peninsula in Queensland, and things didn't go well. So basically, what kind of happened is, as he was trying to herd them, he was a little too close, and one of the bull's horns got caught underneath, I guess like the little railing when, the landing pad or whatever. I don't know, helicopters. And it caused the chopper to lose balance. And the chopper was utterly destroyed. But the pilot was okay. And most importantly, this badass cow was okay.
Well, that's good. You don't want the cow to get sliced up and give you, what's it called?
Chicken.
The raw.
Chicken. No, not chicken.
Yeah, you know what? Chick-fil-A probably had a hand in this.
It's some sort of marketing campaign.
Well, it looks like you came in just under the wire, Zane, so kudos to you.
Thank you. I got better.
You did. You're improving like the pigeons. You're learning.
Yeah, not by much. Those pigeons are smart.
They are. All right, so for my final headline. Is ball lightning a portal to another universe?
I almost chose this.
Oh, did you hear about this?
I didn't read it, so go ahead. Almost chose it, though.
So basically, ball lightning is a very weird phenomenon. The scientists haven't quite fully explained or understand. So there's several factors here with ball lightning that this one professor says that, you know what, it could be a portal to another dimension because it's acting so weird. And kind of what it does is, ball lightning, it can move independently from the atmosphere. So kind of like regardless of what's going on around it, it just does its own thing. Also, it can move through windows and walls unimpeded, and sometimes it causes damage or no damage or a lot of damage, and there appears to be little or no correlation between the appearance, size, color, and the energy limit. So this professor says that because this thing is so sporadic, it might just be like a little window into another dimension, and you're just seeing the output of that dimension in the form of this ball lightning, which is pretty cool idea, if I do say so myself. Man,
I was just talking about pigeons and cows, and now my brain is melted.
That's what I do with like lightning, but that's my time, so I can't melt it anymore.
I was starting to trip balls. Damn it!
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe that's a story for another show. Ball lightning.
Yeah, I like that. Very cool. Let's get right into it. The Sacred Band of Thebes. Tell us about them, Josh. What do we have today for our listeners regarding this band?
Well, Zane, what comes to mind when I say the Spartans?
Michigan State football?
That is true, but what else?
From the movie. All those abs. Those nice, sexy abs. Okay,
you do have sexy abs in there, but I'll give you one more shot. What do you think of when I say Spartans of ancient Greece?
Oh, well, undefeatable badasses.
That is interesting, yes. Funny you should say undefeatable. What if I told you that they got beat? Yes, in fact, several times. But one in particular, what if I told you they got beat by a small band of soldiers made of male lovers?
Well, now you have my interest, Josh. A gay army will go on.
Okay, well, first, let me set for you the scene of ancient Greece.
You set that scene.
So, alright, so you see, during this period of time, Greece was always fighting with itself. One city-state fighting for regional dominance over another, constant skirmishes, treaties, and breaking treaties. Now, Athens, Sparta, and Thebes were the big boys on the block, constantly seeing who could piss the furthest. I like to think of them like this. Try to
right.
picture this. All right, so Athens is like the smart intellectual brother. All right, and Sparta is like the strong, pig-headed, but not so savvy brother. And Thebes was the sneaky, opportunistic.
Yeah, they were sneaky. Sorry. Go ahead.
They be getting on the sneak. So let's start around where we're going to start is the year 386 BC, when the Persian king, and listeners, I'm going to mess up so many names because it's Persian and Greek throughout.
Yes.
So the Persian king, Artaxerxes, brokered a deal called the King's Peace. So basically, Persia was like the parent in the room with all these Greek brothers, right? And he said, you Greek guys are getting on my nerves. I want you to stop fighting, so here's what we're gonna do. You Greek guys, you're bothering me, so here's what we do.
I realize that Italy is not that far from Greece and the whole geographical thing, but the whole mobster stereotype, I don't know if that really fits, but I like it, so just keep on going with it. Just had to call you out.
Well, I don't know too many accents. That's the one I can do. But we're gonna say, have you ever been to ancient Persia, Zane?
No, I have not.
Well, that's exactly how they sounded. So moving on.
All right.
So Persia was like, Greece, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna give me some of your towns in Asia Minor, and if you fight each other, I'm gonna come in with my armies and bust some skulls. I'm gonna smack you down. Capiche? Capiche. So, the goal of the King's Peace was to stop the Greek Empire building that had been going on for about 100 years at this point. So naturally, of those big boys on the block, Sparta was the one that said, F you!
Yeah,
F you, Persia! And they started going around attacking the other Greek towns in the Peloponnese. So the Peloponnese, for you guys, is the bottom peninsula of Greece. The one that kind of looks like, I guess the best way to describe it is a bunch of fingers. Kind of bunch of fingery looking things. So they did this for about 10 years, right? So Sparta running around, bullying, seeking more and more control of Greece. And then this led to the creation of the Athenian League in 378 BC.
Can't help, it just reminds me of Justice League. I don't know, I like it.
It is similar. It is
Bunch
similar.
Of badasses.
They had Aqueous, Homo Aqueous was in
reminds
there.
Reminds me of Aquaman, and he's the best, isn't he?
That he's the best. He's the brightest. So, all right. So the Athenian League in 378 was consisting of Athens, Thebes, and some of their smaller allies. So they pretty much got tired of Sparta's bullcrap, right? And decided to fight back with more numbers. So, but I know what you're saying, Zane. What about the King's Peace Agreement with Persia saying they would come to bust some skulls?
Well, what about that King's Peace Agreement with Persia saying they would come and bust some skulls, eh?
Meh. Persia didn't really care. They had their towns in Asia Minor, right? So they're like, we got what we wanted. We got territory. We got all these good little cities that you guys gave to us. And bonus, you guys are fighting each other, so we don't have to deal with it. So really, it was a win-win for Persia.
They can just chill, eat the grapes, the wine, and the cheese. Yeah, that sounds good to them.
Sweet, sweet cheese. Yes. So now, it's around this time, in 378 BC, that a Theban named Gorgidas.
Cheesy gordita crunch. Sorry. All right, keep going. Really hungry.
No, I don't blame you. Gorgidas. he was known for the Gorgita crunch, but he also founded the Sacred Band of Thebes.
Our subject
for today. Dun, da, da. So what the Sacred Band of Thebes was, it was an elite military unit made of 300 men. So that's 150 pairs of lovers.
And to go into those 150 pairs, you had the older man, and he was called Aristes, which is lover, and then the younger male, which he was called Eromenos, and that meant beloved. So they had their main titles for each of them. So older and younger, and it's pretty interesting. And it seems there wasn't that great of an age discrepancy between the two. According to one scholar, males in the battalion were only made full members after they reached that golden age of 20 or 21, and after the age 30, veterans were mustered out.
Yeah, and that's right. A lot of people think probably with ancient Greece that, with homosexuality, they had, they were into like little boys and stuff like that. Yeah. But, there was only about a 10-year age difference here. And you got to remember, these are fighting age men. So, what they're doing is they need guys who are physically fit and can fight. So they were called the Sacred Band, not because they played music. Although, side note, Zane, I think a great name for a band is, and don't steal this, listeners.
Or Zane.
It's going to be called Zane is called the Seven Against Thebes. Sounds pretty awesome.
It's a pretty good band name.
Yeah, it's actually a story. It's a good story. Maybe that's a story for another time. So that's trademark, Zane. Don't steal it.
Is it trademark? Is it?
Yes, I just went on LegalZoom. It's done. All right. So, but they were called the Sacred Band of Thebes initially because they were created to guard the sacred citadel in Thebes named Cadmea, named after Cadmus, the legendary founder of Thebes and the inventor of the Cadbury egg.
Okay.
No, he didn't really.
What? Oh man, we're talking a lot about food on this.
Story.
Yes.
You can tell where our minds are at the moment.
Man, there's nothing wrong with talking about food.
There isn't. But let me, on a related note, let me get into a little bit, the issue of homosexuality in ancient Greece. It wasn't a big deal in Greece. They had a pretty big range of sexual appetites back then. Although the pairing of lovers in the pairing of lovers in battle was definitely a radical idea of the time. So I guess the concept was that each man would fight more inspired while standing next to their lover, and that makes sense to me. I mean, Zane, don't you think if you were in a battle with your significant other that you'd fight more hard so you didn't look like such a wussy?
Nah, I leave her there, and she can go ahead, she can fight the Persians and Artaxerxes. I'm good. I'm gonna go back in my little hut and have some cheese and grapes.
Well, at least you're honest, although unfortunately I'm sure you'd have to hear about how you were a little bitch every time after that battle.
It's fine.
It'd be Zanios, the bitch of Thebes.
Zanios. I like that. That could be a new nickname. Not the bitch of Thebes part. Zanios. Zanios.
I'm gonna start calling you that at work. That's the
Which
new,
one?
Which
name. One's more? Bitch of Thebes or Zanios? This is important.
Bitch of Thebes. That's your name.
Well, I'm going to HR.
No, it's off hours. All right. Now in 375 BC, led by Pelopidas. I don't know. Is that my pronunciation again? Is that right, Zane?
Well, maybe Pelopidas.
That's
like
it.
Pelopidas. Not penis. Petis. Pelopidas.
Peta pop.
Yes.
P Papa Dot. P Diddy Pop. All right. So Pelopidas. All right. So this is in 375 BC. Pelopidas is leading the Sacred Band of Thebes, and they're going into the Battle of Tegera. And this was the first real test for the Sacred Band of Thebes, okay? So we're talking about 300 of the Sacred Band of Thebes versus between 1,000 to 1,800 Spartans. Vastly outnumbered.
Yeah.
And in fact, it is said that one of the Theban soldiers said, "We are fallen into our enemy's hands," to which my boy Pelopidas said, "And why not they into ours?" Which is kind of badass. I bet the wind was just blowing his hair back as he stood there in all epicness.
I'll tell you what was badass. That first accent for the first Theban shoulder, I mean, intimidating, let me tell you.
That was Smitty from the Sacred Band.
Okay, Smitty. Yeah, he's not one of the strong.
He wasn't a great orator. No, he was a good fighter, not a good orator.
Yes. Okay, I got it now.
All right. So during this battle, when they fought, the Sacred Band unexpectedly beat the Spartans.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the talking heads on GSPN look stupid after that.
John Grudeno's here for GSPN. with a preview from Monday Night Battles. Let's go to the tail of the tape. As you see, this battle season in Athenian League for the Spartans seems undefeatable. Who do you like, Josh Alopoulos?
Well, JG, with their near impenetrable phalanx, their upcoming battle with the new Theban all-male lovers, Sacred Band, looks as good as over. I hope they love getting slaughtered.
The Spartans have an impressive turnout, 1,800 men. That's 10,800 abs. Mighty fine good-looking abs. The Sacred Band, on the other hand, I'm looking, but their roster seems to be incomplete. Did they forget the rest of their team? Only 300. Come on, man.
Done, son. Put your drachmas on the Spartans for the win. Anything else, and you're just throwing money down a Spartan hole. Okay, so this battle really didn't have any big military significance as far as power shifts, but it did have a sort of the Russian is cut moment for Thebes. So this boosted their confidence, for it was the first time a Sparta force was defeated by a force equal or lesser in size in battle.
Yeah, way to go, Thebes! Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a big, boost. It's kind of like, the ragtag guys, like the Sandlot or something, getting that big victory. It just, you don't expect it, and then out of nowhere, bam, upside the head. So after this battle, the Athenian League was like, oh yeah, suck it, Sparta.
Yeah.
No input there.
I'm just gonna let that be. Let it be.
Okay, moving on. All right. So Athens, at this point, tried to organize a peace conference between themselves, Sparta and Thebes. But it all fell apart because Sparta and Thebes couldn't agree on who would control the territory of Boeotia.
Okay.
So that's just like a little region on, I think, the east coast of Greece. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, it's there.
Coming up in our next podcast, we will go back.
We will go back to where things are on NPR. You're listening to. All right, so Sparta, being Sparta, couldn't just have a friendly disagreement. So in 371 BC, they said, okay, we gonna go get our boys, essay. And they rolled up with their allies to battle Thebes outside a village called Leuketra. And they didn't have lowriders, though.
No lowriders? Oh,
still hitting them corners and them lows, girls.
Gangsta, Josh, man, going from...
Yeah, well, that's Sparta. Sparta was gangsta like that.
Okay, I imagine them as the jocks, but I like the gangsta attitude to it.
Gangsta jocks. That's what they were known as. That was their
historical
nicknames.
fact.
All right. So now the Spartans had, by some estimates in this battle, 11,000 troops between them and their allies. And the Thebans had, let's say, around 7,000, give or take. The numbers vary. They had they didn't have the tightest of records back then, obviously. But vastly outnumbered, so about half the troop size there for the Thebans. So naturally, everyone put their money on Sparta. Probably thanks to the heavily biased commentators at GSPN again.
Man, that John Grudenos, like he's all about those Spartans and Persians. He never goes for the upset. He's always the safe better. It's too bad.
Yeah, idiot.
Hey, I'm John Grudenos. Okay, couldn't help myself.
All right, but thanks to the confidence boost from 4 years earlier, and maybe an epic mixtape of battle songs on their Sacred Band of Thebes iPod equivalents. Yeah. Thebes helped their allies beat the Spartans again.
Wow. Yeah. Thebes.
Wow, that's 2 in a row. All right, good job. So, a little note here on how the Greeks fought back then. So they typically fought in a phalanx formation, composed of heavy infantrymen with spears, pikes, and similar type long weapons. Now, traditionally, the Greek armies would put their strongest and best soldiers on the right side of the formations. So when two armies faced off, their strongest fighters would be fighting the other army's weakest fighters first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Pretty good tactical warfare there, but apparently Thebans kind of broke this tradition, right?
Yeah, they did. So what they did, well, first let me back up a little bit here. So a lot of times in the battles, when you're putting your strongest fighters lined up against the other group's weakest fighters, the battles kind of rotate a little bit. right? And so your weakest guys all get picked off. But yeah, the Thebans infantry broke this tradition and put the Sacred Band on the left side of their formation. So what this did was align their strongest fighters, which were the Sacred Band, against the Spartans' elite
their strongest
corps,
fighters too.
and their strongest fighters. So they had about 400 fighters, including the Spartan king. So you got a number 1 seed versus the number 1 seed. Upsets are bound to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty brilliant. I mean, they're already like on a hot streak. They've beaten Sparta a couple times, and you show up and go against the traditional battle method, and now you're going tit for tat against the best Spartan warriors instead of their weaker ones, and then the king himself. I mean, I feel like that's got to be intimidating on the Spartan side.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely I would say demoralizing when you actually make that move and defeat their strongest fighters, because then the rest of the army's like, well, crap, we got no chance. Yeah, at least when they would do it the other way, maybe some of your weaker fighters would pick off a few of the strongest fighters, so before they got to each other. But this way, it was just full strength. But yeah, so Thebes won this one again, and this
Thebes
marked their greatest victory and ended the Spartan dominance of Greece. Hooray! Winning is for lovers.
This reminds me of that. What is it? Virginia is for lovers, like decal. My dad always he got that when we went up to Virginia, and he was so proud of it. And I was like, I just thought it was dumb. I was like, Virginia doesn't seem like a place where it's just all about love. I think more history, but love, maybe Paris, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I grew up in Virginia originally, so I can speak to this firsthand. I never got it either, because when I think Virginia, I don't think of romance. And I'm sorry to my Virginia listeners here. I love you, because Virginia's for lovers. But that slogan, it's got to change. Maybe Virginia is for leaf changes or something. I don't know.
That is so catchy, Josh.
Yeah, trademark that too with my band. So, all right. So Sparta, after this battle, had an interesting way of reacting to the defeat, which I find fantastic. So Sparta, after giving the names of the dead to the relatives of the fallen, as they do, told them to bear the suffering in silence and avoid any cries of lamentation. So the following day, what was seen was that those who had relatives who died in battle on the Sparta side were going about their day all happy as if nothing happened, while those who didn't have relatives lost in battle on the Sparta side were all walking around sad and sorry for themselves, sulking, because you got to remember, to die in battle for Sparta was the bee's knees.
Yeah, it's the greatest honor, pretty much.
Oh yeah, so you just imagine they're going like, oh man, my relatives didn't die, but yours did. That's no fair. I think that's how it's kind of like that.
We'll say kind of. But that's definitely, I mean, that's just a crazy mentality. I mean, you don't really, hear much of that now in modern times, maybe in some tribal areas around the world. But I mean, we do have some elite factions, of course, our military, the Marines, and I'm sure like their families and friends are really strong as much as they are, as the Marines are,
Oh yeah, well, that attitude, I can speak a little from experience from this as well. I was in the Marine Corps myself.
Hoorah!
And hoorah! And they definitely have I would say the most Spartan type of attitude of the branch services, aside from special forces and stuff like that. So they definitely have that Spartan mentality. Okay. Some might call cockiness.
Yes, yes, very much so.
I know my wife certainly calls it that, but deservedly so sometimes. Okay, so after the Spartans were defeated, Athens, wasn't quite as strong as it had been in the past. They couldn't really levy taxes and didn't have the strength to really dominate. So what this did was allow Thebes to enjoy top dog status for about 10 years. Or a hegemony for you more culture types who like the
translation,
words.
Political state. That's my biggest contribution to this podcast.
Thank you, Zane. Couldn't do it without you. So, now, enter Macedonia. So Macedonia was a territory north of Greece, and the Greek city-states thought of Macedonians as, well, essentially backwoods hillbillies.
Okay.
Yeah. So although Macedonians were Greek in origin, they spoke a more, I guess, rednecky version of Greek.
Okay.
Maybe a good way to think of it is like how Ireland versus England. So they're all in the UK, or at least portions of Ireland and England are. So they're the UK, same people, speak roughly the same language.
Oh, these damn Greeks! Oh, he's trying to screw up things. We want to be in our little backwoods and have safety and peace. But why are we adding just the wrong accents to these regions? It's really fun, though.
I think we need to take some classes, Zane.
Yeah.
Maybe Rosetta Stone will teach us some accents.
We are really off in the whole geographical spectrum.
Yeah, Macedonia. All right, so while Greece was doing their Greek thing and fighting each other, the Macedonians were building its power and organizing. So Macedonia at this time was kind of tribal, right? And they had kind of, I guess, warlord type of things. But at this time, Greece didn't pay attention because hill folk don't pose no threat. And they were busy seeing which one of their city-states could pee the furthest.
They're obsessed with that peeing.
They drank a lot of water. They had to stay hydrated when they're fighting.
Hot over there.
So the king of Macedonia was Philip II. And after he essentially consolidated the tribal power and control, he professionalized the Macedonian armies, right? And began taking control of large parts of Greece around the 350s BC. So the last dance of the Sacred Band occurred in 338 BC at the Battle of Chaeronea. And you know them Thebans love to dance.
Yeah, they do.
But this one,
yeah, they
do. But this one, not so nice for them. So the Battle of Chaeronea, aka the Greek Apocalypse, as I like to call, pretty much ended the old Greek states and ushered in the new Macedonian power.
No, say it.
No. So kind of think like, you know, how people think of ancient Greece. This is kind of where it ended.
Okay.
And that's all thanks to Macedonia. Now, you know, there's a little thing about Macedonia real quick is that, you know, I guess there's some debate is how Greek were they? So Macedonians were like, hey, bobbity boobity, we're Greece.
I thought they were Scottish. Come on.
Okay. The Macedonians like, I bibbity boobity, we're Greek. And Greece was like, bobbity boobity, no, you're not. So that's the best way I can describe Macedonia.
They need to write that in the textbooks.
No, they bibbity bobbity? No, all right. So the Greeks, including Thebes and their Sacred Band at this battle, numbered about 35,000 versus King Philip's a little bit less than 30,000 troops.
Okay.
But essentially the same number roughly. But now the one thing that King Philip had was he had 1,800 cavalry guys, led by his 18-year-old son, Alexander. As in Alexander the frickin' Great.
I don't know who that is.
You haven't heard of Alexander? Not Alexander the So-So, but Alexander the Great.
I have heard of Alexander the So-So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's his cousin. Yeah. But at this time, Alexander was just known as Alexander the Capable, I believe.
Wow.
So
that's demoralizing.
Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on anything we've said.
Yeah, that's probably... well, we could put that in the show notes.
Yeah, if you have a book report, maybe don't base it solely off of our ramblings here. So, the Macedonians had innovated some tactics and theories, right, at this time, and defeated the main Greek armies. And it's kind of wonky, you know, they did some formation stuff, but essentially what they did was they had longer poles to counter the Greek phalanx.
Oh, man, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, you think someone would have figured that out before now, but I guess, you know, someone's got to be the first, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they did, and while the main battle went on, Alexander was able to surround the most feared Greek fighters of this time, and at this time it was the Theban Sacred Band. So they were the biggest badasses on the block at this time.
They took over.
They did take over, yes. And, this is all during a 50-year time period, more or less. Okay, so Alexander ended them, pretty much. That was their last thing. But truly, the Sacred Band went down fighting fiercely, so much so that King Philip II was moved by their courage. And after surveying the battlefield for the dead, as kings do, he stopped where the 300 Sacred Band of Thebes lay dead, beside their last commander, Theagenes. Something like that. I mean, pronunciations, again, not my thing. But Philip saw that their bodies were heaped and intertwined with one another, lives extinguished on the ends of his troops' phalanx. Philip, realizing who these soldiers were, wept and exclaimed, "Perish any man who suspect that these men either did or suffered anything unseemly."
Did that first troop defect and become Philip?
They didn't have a big genetic variation in their voices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how they
just for that region.
Yeah. So, but this was a significant victory for Philip, as the Sacred Band was thought of as invincible throughout Greece at this time. But, that was the end of them.
The Sacred Band.
Yeah, but, that's, let's flash forward now to 1818. Because our story is not done here. But in 1818, a British guy riding a horse near Caronia makes a discovery.
La-di-da-di-da, I love the Queen of England and the King of England. Oh, easy now, Alice. There you go, my friend. There we go. That is just a rock. Means you no harm. All right, settle down now. Right. Well, wait a tick. This is no ordinary pebble. Alice, what have you discovered here? By George, it looks like some sort of... Upland's buried here. A statue. Bloody hell. This here pebble's a statue of a lion! By George!
By George! In fact, the British guy, he was an architect named George Ledwell.
Yes, I was saying my name!
Oh!
By myself! Weren't you paying attention?
I wasn't quite sure where you... But you weren't by yourself, you were with your party.
No, it was just my horse, Alice.
Yes, your horse. I love Alice, but...
As you should.
Okay, back to present day. Alright, so George, his party, stumbled upon what many believe to be the monument for the Sacred Band of Thebes. Enclosed in the lion statue were the skeletons of 254 men.
Okay.
However, during the Greek War of Independence, the monument was damaged.
Of course.
Of course, they always are. But in 1902, permission was granted to restore it. So at this time, the lion stands about 12 and a half feet high and was mounted on a pedestal about 10 feet high. So it's a pretty big monument.
Yeah.
But wait, 254 isn't 300. What happened to the rest?
What happened?
Well, hard to say. Either 300 was a rounded approximation to start with, or some of them got taken prisoner or separated from the main fighting group, dying elsewhere in the battlefield.
I would say that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, one of those things has got to be true. Or, this 254 may be another group entirely. But it is generally accepted, though, that this is the Sacred Band, and it's good enough for us.
Yes. So that is the Sacred Band of Thebes.
All right, so, that was a pretty interesting story, Zane.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I think, one of the reasons why we wanted to pick, this first topic, because it kind of delved into the whole ancient history, of our world. So that in itself is already pretty incredible. But the whole, whole idea of, this was an elite unit, an elite Greek unit, but the fact that it has this historical element of being one of, if not the only, one of the few, Greek or known gay military units, just brought element of fascination, and it's it's one of those things you hear and you go, huh, I had no idea, and it makes sense. Ancient Greece back then, like you said earlier, the gay lifestyle, wasn't frowned upon. It was looked up to, and they definitely used it for this military system, and it can definitely be argued that it really helped make this military unit very, very fierce and strong, and a unit you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, and what I found interesting too about this is that this was only a 50-year period that this occurred. You don't hear about this tactic of combining male lovers in battle anytime before or anytime after, really. And it's something that you think, what? It really makes a lot of sense to me. Why wasn't this around more? And, I know there's a lot of, stuff, historically with, homosexuals after this, being frowned upon. So you didn't really see that so much in military. But it was only until recently that the United States military allowed homosexuals to serve openly. But, totally different fighting style now than it was back then. But, wow. It's just like, why wouldn't you do that more? It just seems like you would probably do that as a commander, right?
The fact that, you already have, your men out there, there's already testosterone going like crazy. But if love is a very powerful emotion, and if you can use that to harness it for your advantage in battle, I don't think I need to really look at the science, and I think I would bet on them,
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't so much love, it's just fear of the nagging. Like, how dare you left me behind? To get my arm chopped off by the Persians and you didn't do anything.
Yes.
That's what my wife would be like if I did that. So, like, no, I'll go ahead and do that.
Agreed,
All right, well, let's do something a little fun to wrap the show up, Zane. For listeners, I think we will do some haikus.
Yeah, and we're gonna we'll do this every week. It kind of helps wrap up each topic in just a little fun way, a little creative way.
Yeah, a little poetry.
Which I thought I would never do again, but Josh had this idea, and I was like, you know what? I'll open up this creative box once again and see what I can do with it.
All right. Well, should I go first, or you go first?
You go ahead.
How do you want to? All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and insert some tranquil music here. The Sacred of Thebes fought fiercely in their battles, but lost to a great.
A great what?
A great badass. All right. A great is Alexander the Great.
Okay.
Yes. All right. I guess I failed at that.
Is it supposed to be so-so? Okay, sorry. That's terrible. Okay. Anyways, I got you now.
All right, I had to explain that. My bad. All right. Okay. Next time.
All right. Now my turn. Sacred Band of Thebes. 300 fierce warriors who were fabulous.
All right, I like that one. That was pretty good. A little stereotypical, but hey, you know what? They were fabulous. When you're fabulous, you're fabulous. All right, my second one. Sacred versus Spartans. All day this Sunday. Who wins? Who survives?
I like it. You got the GSPN little reference there.
Mm-hmm. They're the monster trucky.
Monster trucky. I'm all in. It got me a little excited too because football's back. So I like it. I'm all in. Good job, Josh.
All right, good, very good.
And now for my last haiku. Thebes, famed sacred band, hear their mighty battle cry. Phalanx and phallus. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I like that one too.
Just expect some immaturity in my haikus. So just for now on.
Hey, if you can't be immature in haikus, where can you be immature? Which reminds us, listeners, if you have any haikus you'd like to submit to us, go ahead and do so. We might read those on air. Or if you have any show ideas you might want us to cover, incredible stories, go ahead and drop us a note. We like hearing from you guys.
Yeah, and remember, incredible stories have some truth element to it. Like, it, should be pretty factual, but, that incredible, vibe to it.
And, of course, with paranormal, who's to tell with that?
Well, that wraps it up for our show, our first show. Congrats, Josh.
Congrats to you, Zane.
Thank you so much. Now, make sure, guys, to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Our handle is @IncredPod. That's the @ little symbol thing. INCREDPOD, and check out our site, IncredibleStoriesPodcast.com. Send us a note, and links will be in our show notes.
For Incredible Stories Podcast, I'm Josh.
And I'm Zane.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 tales begins with the first word.
Peace.
Bye.
Get around now, everyone here, hear of incredible things. We'll tell you the stories of people we've met and creatures with clockwork and springs.